Scripture teaches us that everyone should be quick to listen, slow to speak, and slow to become angry. That's not always easy to do for us. That's what James tells us in our scripture. Listening is one of the simplest acts of love and one of the rarest. We live in such a noisy world where everyone seems to have something to say, and silence, well, that feels awkward at times. But in that noise, something sacred is lost, the ability to truly hear one another. Well, James tells us that the first mark of maturity in Jesus Christ is to be quick to listen. That's not natural for most of us. We're quick to speak, quick to defend ourselves, quick to judge. Listening requires humility, that willingness to pause and to give someone else the floor, and to believe that their words really matter. Well, to listen, that means to value another person's soul. It's a way of saying, you matter enough for me to stop talking for a while. Well, when you look at the gospel stories and the life of Jesus, Jesus was a master listener. He heard the cries that other people ignored. That blind beggar calling out from the roadside, asking to be healed. The woman reaching out through the crowd to touch Jesus. The whisper of Zacchaeus from a tree branch, or even the silent thoughts of his disciples as they wrestled with questions. Jesus didn't just hear words, he listened for the heart behind those words. When others saw interruptions, Jesus, well, he saw invitations. Well, in our world where it's easy to go quickly past a post, to scroll by it and move on, Jesus reminds us that listening is, well, that's a ministry. It's one of the most Christ-like acts we can offer to other people. When we listen, we give others the same gift, well, that God gives us, that undivided attention to another person. You see, sometimes what people need most is not advice or answers, but just our presence. When someone's grieving or anxious or uncertain, well, our words, they can often just fall short. But listening, well, that can become the bridge to healing in another person's life. You see, listening says, you're not alone. Listening to another person says, I see you and I care about you. And listening, well, that creates the space where God can speak through those times of silence. Maybe the most powerful thing we can do is not to speak louder in our world. There's enough of that. But to listen better. To a neighbor, to a friend, to a family member that feels unheard, and even our enemies. The practice of listening, however, doesn't end with others. It begins with God. You see, our prayers are often filled with words. But what if prayer is often about silence? What if the holiest part of prayer is when we stop talking and wait to hear from God? The psalmist said, be still and know that I am God. You see, God still speaks today, softly, personally, and patiently. If our lives are too noisy, we will miss his voice. So let us all take time each day to sit in silence and say, speak, Lord, for your servant is listening. You may be surprised at what you hear. You may be surprised that God has something to say. God bless you.